Captain Jake Morrison strode across the bridge of the USV Titan's Edge, his eyes fixed on the stars beyond the enormous viewing screen. The prototype battleship represented the pinnacle of human engineering, and Jake felt a deep pride in commanding her. At 3 times the size of a standard battleship, she carried cutting-edge weapons that Earth's top scientists had labored for years to perfect. Her silver hull shimmered under starlight, and her engines emitted a low hum of latent power capable of propelling her across star systems in days instead of weeks. Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez manned the communications station, monitoring signals from nearby colonies while performing routine system diagnostics. At 25, she had graduated at the top of her class from the Mars Naval Academy. Amy had specifically requested assignment to the Titan's Edge, eager to work with the most advanced technology in human space. Her hands moved deftly across the holographic interface, juggling communications with 3 star systems at once. Chief Engineer Ben Carter patrolled the engine bays, inspecting the quantum drive that allowed the ship's remarkable speeds. At 42, he had helped design the drive personally, and knew every wire and conduit intimately. The quantum drive was his crowning achievement, treated with the care of a father watching over a child. He ran meticulous diagnostics every few hours to ensure it operated at peak efficiency. The Titan's Edge carried a crew of 800, all of whom had trained rigorously for 2 years before assuming command. They hailed from colonies across human space and represented the finest soldiers and technicians available. Few had faced actual alien combat, but their training was exhaustive. They understood their roles perfectly and trusted one another implicitly. Jake had captained the vessel for 6 months and still marveled at her capabilities. The Titan's Edge was faster than any other ship in the fleet, and her weaponry was decades ahead of standard armaments. Her shields could withstand tremendous damage, and her sensors could detect threats from vast distances. She was humanity's response to the escalating threat of hostile alien species in the outer reaches of known space. On Haven's Rest, an agricultural colony 3 star systems away, morning sunlight bathed expansive fields of grain and vegetables. The settlement supported 50,000 inhabitants, all working to supply the growing human population across multiple worlds. Families like the Daniels lived in cozy homes surrounded by the crops they cultivated, while the Johnsons operated enormous harvesters capable of clearing fields in days. Colony Administrator Lisa Brooks oversaw operations from her office in the Central Administrative Hub. At 38, she had managed the colony for 4 years. Lisa took pride in both the settlement's productivity and the well-being of its residents. The colony produced enough food to supply 3 star systems and had never missed a delivery. Though she worked long hours, Lisa enjoyed watching children play in parks, as their parents tended fields stretching to the horizon. Dr. Sam Mitchell served as the chief scientist, spending his days monitoring soil quality and atmospheric conditions to maintain optimal growing environments. He was 51 years old and had relocated to Haven's Rest with his family 5 years ago. Sam cherished the tranquil life on the colony after decades spent in crowded Earth laboratories. For the past few weeks, he had been monitoring unusual energy signatures near the settlement, but assumed they were natural cosmic phenomena. The readings were odd but not alarming, and Sam had observed similar patterns caused by distant stellar activity. Helen Mitchell worked at the colony's medical center, tending to the routine injuries and illnesses common in agricultural work. At 47, she had been a practicing doctor for 20 years. Helen appreciated the simple life on Haven's Rest, where serious emergencies were rare and most patients required only minor care for cuts or bruises. The medical center was modest but well-equipped, and Helen felt confident in her ability to manage any situation that arose. Their son, Kevin, 17, assisted with the automated systems controlling irrigation and harvesting across the colony. Fascinated by technology, he spent free hours studying engineering manuals and tinkering with the colony's computers. He dreamed of joining the space fleet one day and exploring the galaxy beyond Haven's Rest. Kevin was well liked among the colony's youth and often organized games and activities for younger children not yet old enough to work in the fields. Haven's Rest had basic defenses, including energy shields around the main settlement and a small security force of 20 officers under Captain Rick Stone. The systems were designed to handle minor threats like pirates or smugglers. The colony was considered low risk, far from hostile alien territories. Most residents had never seen combat and lived peaceful lives centered on farming and family. Captain Stone, 35, had served 12 years in the colonial defense forces. He took his duties seriously, but knew significant threats were unlikely this far from frontier regions. His team was trained for security rather than warfare, equipped with standard energy weapons and a few light vehicles, insufficient for heavy combat. Children attended schools teaching standard subjects alongside agricultural and basic technical skills. Many young people stayed on Haven's Rest to raise families and continue their parents' farming work. The colony was self-sufficient and prosperous, with a tight-knit community fostering a sense of safety and belonging. Evenings brought families together for meals and leisure. Parents played with children, while teens gathered to talk and laugh. Entertainment included sports courts and a small theater hosting occasional traveling performers. Life was good on Haven's Rest, and most residents felt fortunate to call the farming world home. Jake Morrison had no idea that 3 star systems away, 50,000 innocent lives were about to be shattered. The Titan's Edge carried on with patrol, exercises, her crew performing routine tasks and daydreaming of home. None knew that within hours, everything would change, and their experimental battleship would face its ultimate test against a force determined to annihilate all humanity had built among the stars. The first alien ships appeared over Haven's Rest just as morning sunlight gilded the fields. Dr. Sam Mitchell sipped his coffee while reviewing atmospheric data when his instruments erupted with alarms. The energy readings that had puzzled him for weeks were now massive and visible to the naked eye. He dropped his cup and ran to the window, witnessing dark shapes moving across the dawn sky like storm clouds forged from metal. The alien vessels were immense and unlike anything humans had seen. Their hulls pulsed with organic life while retaining the sharp lines of advanced machinery. They moved with a fluid grace, appearing as much living beings as technological constructs. Each ship dwarfed the largest human starship, and their surfaces rippled with patterns that strained the eyes to look at directly. Commander Zexthal stood on the bridge of his flagship, observing the human colony below through sensors capable of detecting every heartbeat and breath on the surface. The Zephyrian Empire had monitored human expansion for months and chose Haven's Rest as an example of what awaited species that dared encroach on territory they claimed. Humans would soon learn that their rapid colonization of space came with consequences. The Zephyrians were an ancient race, having conquered dozens of star systems through unmatched technology and merciless tactics. Their tall, slender bodies bore multiple arms, ending in razor-sharp claws, suited for delicate manipulation or lethal combat. Dark green skin was overlaid with natural armor plates capable of withstanding most conventional weaponry. Commander Zexthal had led fleets for over 2 centuries and viewed the extermination of human settlements as routine pest control. The attack began suddenly, without warning or communication. Massive energy beams shot down from the alien vessels, smashing into Haven's Rest defensive shields with overwhelming force. The colony's basic protective systems held barely 30 seconds, before failing entirely. The first structures to fall were the communication arrays, cutting off any chance of alerting other human worlds. Lisa Brooks was reviewing crop reports in her office when the building shook violently, sending furniture crashing and windows shattering. She ran outside, her eyes meeting a sky filled with alien warships raining destruction. The administrative complex ignited instantly as alien fire tore through walls and support beams like tissue paper. Grabbing her emergency communicator, Lisa attempted to coordinate evacuations while fleeing for her life. Alien ground forces arrived minutes after the orbital bombardment. Their transport ships were living organisms, unfurling like flowers to disgorge hundreds of insectoid warriors. Smaller than their commanders, these soldiers were no less lethal, moving on 6 legs with astonishing speed. Their weapons emitted living energy, adapting to any defense they encountered. Thick natural armor blocked most human attacks, and reflexes far outmatched anything humans could muster. Captain Rick Stone rallied his 20 security officers in the armory, immediately realizing they were hopelessly outmatched. Trained and courageous, they were equipped only for policing human threats, not facing advanced alien warriors. Stone ordered his team to prioritize evacuating civilians rather than attempting to fight an unwinnable battle. Helen Mitchell treated a farmer's broken arm as the medical center's lights cut out and emergency power flickered on. Explosions echoed outside, accompanied by flashes of alien weapons through the windows. Helen moved patients toward emergency exits while collecting supplies to treat wounded civilians. Her training kept her steady, but she feared for her husband, Sam, and son Kevin somewhere in the colony. Kevin Mitchell, 17, was working on irrigation controls when alien warriors smashed into the technical center. Having never seen violence beyond schoolyard scuffles, the boy's instincts instantly took over. He grabbed a toolkit and crawled through maintenance tunnels toward the colony's cave system, prepared for natural disasters. Screams and chaos surrounded him, but he stayed silent, focusing on staying unseen. The alien energy weapons were unlike anything humans had encountered. Beams seemed alive, adjusting to overcome defenses. When hidden behind metal barriers, the energy sliced through like molten blades. Inside concrete buildings, it became explosive force, shattering walls and foundations. The weapons learned and adapted faster than humans could react. Dr. Sam Mitchell managed to send a final distress signal before the alien forces destroyed the main communications array. His message was short and desperate, detailing the attackers' identity and capabilities. Unsure if anyone would receive it, he hoped other colonies could prepare defenses. After transmitting, he ran toward the medical center to find Helen. Evacuation descended into chaos as 50,000 people tried to flee a colony under attack by a force beyond comprehension. Families were separated while alien warriors hunted through burning streets. Some colonists reached underground shelters, others fled into wilderness beyond the fields. Many were captured, seemingly for prisoners rather than execution. Lisa Brooks coordinated from a mobile command post until alien forces trapped her group in a collapsed building. She, along with hundreds of other colonists, was captured and loaded onto alien transport ships destined for prison vessels in orbit. As she was forced aboard the alien craft, Lisa watched her beautiful colony burn beneath a sky swarming with ships that had appeared from nowhere to obliterate everything she had built. Captain Stone made a final stand at the colony's main evacuation shelter, where he and his remaining officers held off the alien attackers long enough for the last civilians to reach the cave systems. Stone suffered a deadly wound from an alien weapon, but lived long enough to see Kevin Mitchell and dozens of other youths vanish into tunnels that might keep them safe until help arrived from the vast darkness of space. Captain Jake Morrison was reviewing training exercises in his ready room when Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez burst through, her face pale, hands trembling. She carried a datapad displaying the emergency transmission from Haven's Rest. Jake saw the fear in her eyes as she handed him the device. The message was fragmented and filled with static, but its core content made Jake's blood run cold. Haven's Rest was under attack, and thousands were dying. Jake read the message 3 times before fully grasping its meaning. Dr. Sam Mitchell's desperate transmission described adaptive weapons and ships that moved like living organisms. The assault had been sudden, and the colony's defensive systems failed within minutes. Jake had never encountered alien combat, But Haven's Rest was 3 hours away at maximum speed, and every passing minute meant more innocent lives lost. Amy had been monitoring routine communications when the distress signal appeared. A nightmare made real. Months of mundane crop and weather reports had lulled her into calm, but the combat transmission shattered that illusion. She immediately began decoding further signals and gathering intelligence on the attackers. Ben Carter was deep in the engine rooms when the alert system lit up, corridors flashing red. He recognized instantly that this was no drill. The alert pattern indicated a genuine emergency. Without waiting for orders from the bridge, Ben pushed the quantum drive beyond normal limits. The experimental engines had never been stressed to this extent, but he knew speed mattered more than protocol. Jake arrived on the bridge to find his crew at battle stations, preparing for a scenario none had faced. The Titan's Edge was built to counter advanced alien threats, but all prior training had been theoretical. Now, human ingenuity and resolve would be tested against hostile forces that had destroyed a peaceful colony in hours. Commander Steve Phillips, Jake's tactical officer, had studied every recorded alien encounter in human history. Contacts had been rare and small-scale, nothing compared to the devastation at Haven's Rest. Steve analyzed Dr. Mitchell's limited data, devising potential strategies for engaging an entirely unknown enemy. Lieutenant Colonel Maria Santos commanded the Titan's Edge's weapons, a mix of excitement and terror coursing through her. The ship's plasma lance arrays could theoretically pierce any armor, and the defensive systems had been designed using fragments of captured alien technology. 2 years of simulated training prepared her, but real combat would test her and her systems in ways no simulation could replicate. Commander Paul Graham, Jake's executive officer, helped coordinate the ship's response. While Jake made the critical decisions that could save Haven's Rest, Paul relied on 15 years of conventional warship experience. Yet the Titan's Edge was unlike anything he had commanded, every system experimental and untested, meaning they would learn to fight as they fought. The Titan's Edge changed course immediately, accelerating toward Haven's Rest at speeds that strained both hull and inertial compensators. Jake ordered all non-essential personnel to secure positions, while Ben's adjustments pushed the quantum drive to maximum. The ship responded flawlessly, moving faster than any human vessel in history. Long-range sensors began feeding detailed information about the embattled colony. Multiple large alien vessels orbited the planet, with smaller ships ferrying between surface and larger craft that appeared to be prison vessels. Jake realized with horror the aliens were not only annihilating the colony but also capturing survivors. Amy worked frantically to decode transmissions, piecing together what had happened. She recovered fragments of colonist communications and security footage showing alien ground forces in action. The enemy moved with inhuman speed and wielded weapons that seemed intelligent. Amy briefed the tactical team, helping them comprehend the threat. Jake called his senior officers for a quick briefing. Holographic displays showed everything known about the alien forces: massive ships, adaptive weapons, and technology clearly superior to human standards. Steve presented tactical options from direct assault to stealth, each carrying extreme risk due to unknown enemy capabilities. Maria confirmed experimental systems might match alien firepower, but warned they would fight blind against untested defenses. Ben reported the quantum drive maintained maximum output, capable of sustaining speed until Haven's Rest. Experimental systems gave the ship unprecedented capabilities, and Paul coordinated damage control and combat readiness for immediate engagement. Jake decided to attempt a surprise strike using the Titan's Edge's prototype cloaking system to approach unseen. The battleship held one decisive advantage. The aliens would not expect humanity's most advanced vessel to appear in a remote farming system. The Zaharians had attacked Haven's Rest, believing humans were primitive and defenseless, but they were about to discover powers they had never imagined in the galaxy. The Titan's Edge dropped out of quantum drive at the edge of the Haven's rest system and activated her experimental cloaking device. Jake watched the main screen as his ship vanished from enemy sensors while the full horror around the colony unfolded. 7 massive alien vessels orbited the burning planet like mechanical vultures, while smaller craft ferried captured humans to prison ships suspended in space like dark coffins. Anger flared in Jake as he observed the aliens moving casually over Haven's Rest, acting as if the system belonged to them. They had attacked without cause, destroying the homes of 50,000 innocent people. Jake knew this experimental battleship was humanity's only hope against a force that clearly considered human life worthless. Amy Rodriguez monitored alien communications, partially decoding the signals. They identified themselves as the Zaharian Empire, dismissing the attack as a minor policing operation against primitive creatures encroaching on advanced territory. Amy felt a wave of revulsion, realizing humans were viewed as little more than insects. Ben Carter pushed the ship's systems beyond every limit, preparing for a fight that would test every experimental capability aboard the Titan's Edge. The quantum drive ran at 120% capacity, while the plasma lance arrays drew power until the hull vibrated with barely contained energy. Systems could fail at any moment, but Ben knew they needed every advantage. Commander Steve Phillips studied the alien formation, identifying the optimal path for a surprise attack. The enemy had left exploitable gaps in their formation, unaware of cloaked vessels. Steve plotted a run between 2 of the largest alien dreadnoughts, maximizing damage before the enemy could react. Jake gave the order to begin the attack approach. The Titan's Edge moved silently toward the fleet, her crew preparing for the first human-alien battle in history. Every member aboard understood they were about to make history, with the fate of human colonies potentially hinging on their actions. Emerging from cloak between 2 dreadnoughts, the Titan's Edge unleashed every weapon. Maria Santos coordinated as plasma lance arrays and experimental particle cannons struck with devastating precision. The initial salvo crippled one dreadnought's propulsion and ripped massive holes in another. Commander Zexthal, reviewing prisoner reports, felt his ship shudder under the unknown impact. The Zaharian commander, seasoned through decades of conquest, had never encountered technology capable of matching his own. Alarm reports flooded the bridge as his officers scrambled to identify the source of the attack that appeared from nowhere. Finda, battle marked humanity's official declaration as a major military power. The Titan's Edge executed maneuvers with precision, while Ben Carter boosted power output beyond expectations. Maria Santos targeted every weak point in alien armor and shields. The alien fleet countered with weapons that reshaped matter at the molecular level, but the Titan's Edge's shields absorbed and adapted, proving human engineering could rival alien superiority through innovation and resolve. Jake maneuvered through the enemy formation like a dancer avoiding lethal partners, while the crew converted months of theory into battlefield effectiveness. Amy achieved the breakthrough that shifted the fight. She penetrated alien communications, feeding tactical data to Steve Phillips. The ability to anticipate enemy movements allowed the Titan's Edge to maximize advantage while avoiding the worst of enemy fire. Humanity's adaptability, quick thinking, and courage proved superior when combined with technology. On the planet below, Kevin Mitchell and other survivors watched from the cave shelters. Seeing a single human ship battling an entire alien fleet inspired hope that had seemed impossible just hours before. Captain Rick Stone, wounded but determined, organized the remaining colonists, preparing for potential rescue if the mysterious human vessel could somehow prevail. Commander Zexthal realized with growing horror that his fleet was losing to a single ship, wielding capabilities intelligence had never predicted. 2 dreadnoughts were critically damaged, a third venting atmosphere through multiple hull breaches. The human ship fought and maneuvered like nothing Zexthal had faced in 2 centuries of conquest, prepared him for the Titan's Edge, and her weapons seemed tailored to counter Zaharian defenses. The decisive moment arrived when Maria Santos focused every ounce of firepower on Zexthol's flagship command section. The alien vessel endured immense damage until its shields collapsed and plasma lances tore through the bridge superstructure. Zexthal barely escaped to an auxiliary command center as his flagship began losing power and control. While human weapons continued their relentless assault on critical systems, the alien fleet began retreating from Haven's Rest. Zexthal ordered the surviving ships to withdraw before suffering greater losses to the improbable human battleship. The Zaharian commander had never retreated from primitive species, but recognized that his forces faced technology and resolve that equaled their own. As the damaged fleet limped toward the system edge, Zexthal realized humanity was far more dangerous than the Empire had anticipated. The aliens vanished into deep space, leaving behind burning wreckage and a colony forever changed. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Titan's Edge, watching rescue shuttles launch toward Haven's Rest as his crew assessed the aftermath of their first real battle. The experimental battleship had proven herself in combat, but the cost was written across the scarred surface below, where entire cities lay in ruins. Jake placed the ship into orbit and began coordinating recovery with survivors emerging from hiding. Lisa Brooks was among the first rescued from an abandoned alien prison vessel. Weak and terrified, she immediately helped locate others trapped among the ruins. The casualty reports sickened Jake. 15,000 colonists were confirmed dead, and another 20,000 were missing, likely taken prisoner during the retreat. The once productive farming communities that fed three-star systems were now smoldering ruins, littered with the bodies of innocents murdered for existing in space the aliens claimed. Dr. Sam Mitchell reunited with his wife Helen, who had tirelessly treated the wounded despite dwindling supplies and continuous bombardment. Sam embraced her, grateful for her survival while mourning those who would never see loved ones again. Kevin Mitchell emerged from the cave systems with dozens of young survivors, having kept children calm and safe while alien warriors hunted through the streets. The 17-year-old knew the universe would never feel safe again. Captain Rick Stone was found barely alive among the defenders of the main evacuation shelter. Though gravely wounded, Helen and other medical personnel saved him, their determination matching that of the Titan's Edge crew. Rick would recover but carry permanent scars as a reminder of humanity's first encounter with hostile alien forces. Amy Rodriguez worked with surviving technicians to restore communications and alert other human colonies to the Zaharian threat. Her decoded transmissions revealed that Haven's Rest had been the first of many assaults aimed at forcing humans back to their home system. The aliens viewed human expansion as a disease to be contained before it spread across the galaxy. Ben Carter oversaw repairs to the Titan's Edge and analyzed combat data to help Earth engineers develop stronger ships. The quantum drive had exceeded design limits, and the experimental weapons had outperformed expectations, proving alien superiority could be challenged and defeated. The battle's implications extended far beyond one devastated colony. Across human space, High Command realized humanity was now at war with an advanced alien empire, prompting emergency meetings and production orders for battleships modeled after the Titan's Edge. Jake Morrison was promoted to admiral, placed in command of the emerging fleet designed to protect human colonies. The victory at Haven's Rest made him a hero, but he knew the real war was just beginning. The surprise advantage that had won the first battle would never exist again. Zexthal returned to the Zaharian Empire, reporting that humanity possessed military capabilities vastly underestimated by Imperial intelligence. Humans had not only survived, but had repelled a superior fleet with a single vessel, using tactics and technology that rivaled the Empire's best. Zaharian leadership would need to reconsider their approach to the human problem. Survivors began the long process of rebuilding, knowing alien threats could return at any time. Some relocated closer to Earth's defenses, while others stayed to restore destroyed communities. The colony would recover, but it would never again be the peaceful farming world where children played safely and parents worked fields stretching to the horizon. Kevin Mitchell kept his promise, enlisting in the Earth Defense Force at 18. The attack had forged in him the understanding that peace demanded strength, and that freedom required defense. He would eventually command his own ship, playing a crucial role in the larger war born from the ashes of his home. The Titan's Edge returned to Earth as the most famous human vessel in history. Her crew received medals and promotions,